Hi, and welcome to another part of the check test series, part 3 series, all combined, as I said before. We're working our way through the standard check form and brief explanations on these little short training bites on what each thing means, so hopefully you get some greater understanding. I've been looking at risk management, etc., and the first title there, the first question underneath there is, did the trainer ensure that the pupil fully understood how the responsibility for risk would be shared? Okay, this comes under quite a lot of confusion I see with the thing. Why are we sharing the risk? Well, we've already talked about what a risk is earlier. Risk is anything that could cause danger or loss, etc. Loss of life. It could be a loss of damage to a vehicle, etc., etc. So why do we need to share it? Well, DTE matrix shows us that people don't really crash because of lack of car control skills. They crash because of their attitudes and personal beliefs, etc., things like that, because they don't really assess the risks involved enough. So during lessons, it's very important that we start to get the pupil to understand it. Some of the buck lies with them, that they need to be responsible, and as learning takes place, they take on more and more of the risk. Coming from the educational degree that I have, I looked at this and I always equate this with learning takes place. When we first start off in a car, we as instructors are almost 100% responsible for everything that happens in that car. So basically all the knowledge lies with us. And the learner probably doesn't know, maybe doesn't know very much at all. And as we go through the process of teaching the drive, eventually they take on the knowledge and they take on the skills, and then their learning takes place. So as learning takes place, so should more and more responsibility. Knowledge or teaching is the transfer of knowledge and the transfer of skills, and equally it's about the transfer of responsibility. Before a pupil is ready for tests, they need to know that they're very much more responsible for what goes on. They have to be encouraged in the decision-making processes which occur through this. So they're thinking about this, and that transfer goes on. One of the greatest tools I use for responsibility or sharing a responsibility or ensuring that people understand is scaling. Scaling is a wonderful tool where you can ask your pupil responsibility. Who is responsible for this? Where do we lay? Particularly in the later stages or the remedial stages or things when we're looking at clarifying, say, junctions or something. They've done junctions before. They would really like to revisit junctions or roundabouts. Roundabouts is always a popular one. And you can ask them. So, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being all you, completely you, and 1 being completely me, where do you think we are? Who's responsible? How much responsibility do you want? Or how much do you think I should have? And they'll normally give you a good indication. This is also quite good because if they're giving you figures like 2 and 1, you know actually that the learning they have or the understanding of what they're doing isn't very strong. So they're really asking you to take a lot of the thing. Likewise, if they're telling you 8s and 9s, then they're probably very, very confident, although don't mistake that for sometimes being overconfident. But it gives you a very, very good basis. Ultimately, they're looking for 100% responsibility, so that by the time they go for their driving test, they are completely 100. I had a conversation really with the instructor, and I'm still trying to really work it out in my mind. The instructor was talking about giving the pupil 100% of the responsibility. But the pupil was showing some concern and they were a bit worried on the subject. So I was saying that we wouldn't fully give them 100%. An instructor, a pupil who is worried about something or has got issues and would like to revisit the subject, clearly You know, I mean, it could be 90%, 10% or something like that, but I wouldn't give them full 100% responsibility, because that might make them think, well, they're not going to have any help or any support. It's important that we make the pupil aware. I often hear what we call the common lip service. Oh yeah, okay, blah 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 there. So I would actually make it clear, particularly in a standard check or part 3 check. Make sure it says, so we have an agreement then. Okay, so I will be 7 and you'll be 3. So I'm mainly responsible and you're about 3. Yeah, make sure it's understood. Even if it's a nod or a grunt off your pupil, you need something. But you know, I've seen quite a lot of failures or instances where examiners have said, well, you know, they've given them a low score there, and the instructor trainee or the instructor has said, well, but I did it. And I think sometimes, yeah, it just needs to make sure it's absolutely clear in the mind of the pupil, absolutely clear also in the examiner in the back as well, etc. But it isn't about the examiner. If the examiner hasn't heard it, or the examiner is not feeling it was very clear, then nor is your pupil. So, you know, with a system really, one of the things during the GROW model I use, you know, when we're looking at the options, etc., I'm actually very clear. So you would like me to guide you, and what we're saying is I am going to be 70% responsible, or 7% 7 out of 10 responsible, and you will be 3 10 more. And just making sure that we're ticking those boxes, you know. Not a tick box exercise, but it's in a mind, it's a system, etc., etc. Great believer in systems. Systems help run things. Systems make sure that we keep in line there. Well, a very, very short one on this one, etc. To recap there, making sure that responsibility is shared. Responsibility is basically a transfer of learning. As the learner learns more, they become more and more responsible. They have to know that, you know, the day after they pass their test, they are completely responsible for what goes in their car. They need to be responsible for the thought processes and the decision makings that go on, not just in the controls, but things of when and where they would learn to drive, when they would go out and drive, things about, you know, they're responsible for alcohol. Can they drive with alcohol? Can they drive with the phone, etc., etc. All those decisions goes on. And a highlight to absolutely make sure that it is clear in the pupil's mind. Yes, we know where that responsibility is nice. Okay, that's the end of today's little subject. Happy teaching, and I'll speak to you on the next one. Thank you then. Bye-bye.